all you all out there. This video is brought to you by the Arkansas Martin Luther King Jr. Commission, which is under the direction of our Executive Director, Deshaun Scarborough, and is a division of the Arkansas Department of Education. My name is Walter Washington, and not only do I have the pleasure of serving as the fiscal officer for the Arkansas Martin Luther King Jr. Commission, but I also serve as a licensed real estate agent and realtor in the state of Arkansas at Keller Williams Realty here in Little Rock. Today, I'm going to present on the importance of home buying and home ownership. Enjoy. Now, we're talking about the importance of home ownership, right? And this is a question that people ask is why home ownership matters. So being with the National Association of Realtors, they put out information, a great deal of information. It shows that a number of research studies have shown that home ownership provides social and societal benefits. Not only is home ownership one of the best ways to build long-term wealth, providing resources for a more comfortable retirement, but it also fosters an immeasurable sense of community and stability vital to the growing families. Now, the National Association of Realtors' social benefits of homeownership and stable housing reports reveals that homeowners are happier and healthier. They tend to vote more, volunteer more, and contribute more to their neighborhoods. Homeowners do not move as frequently as renters, which encourages more neighborhood stability, and children of homeowners are more likely to participate in organized activities and spend less time in front of the television. So with this, you just have to get the facts and talk to homeowners in your area about their personal investment in the community. And do they feel more involved now that they own property in the community? How has their perspective changed since they became homeowners? These are all questions that are great to ask because you have to realize this is a commitment you're making to your community. And when you make that commitment, you're showing that, hey, I'm here for the long run. I'm here to stay. I'm here to do my part as a citizen. I'm here to do my part as a neighbor. So being that is so phenomenal, and that is why it's so important that we utilize homeownership to not only build wealth, but to also give our commitment to the community. Highlights from an October 24th, 2017 article by Nadia Evangelo titled Social Benefits of Homeownership and Stable Housing. That article showed that research has consistently shown the importance of the housing sector on the economy and the long-term social and financial benefits to individual homeowners. However, in recent years, many have questioned the role of homeownership due to the housing downturn and foreclosure crisis. Thus, a related question is, do the social benefits of homeownership from the past still apply to today? Well, let's take a look at some of those areas of society where being a homeowner helps. One area, educational achievement. Consistent findings show that homeownership does make a significant positive impact on educational achievement. Less clear, however, is whether homeownership in itself, stable housing, or favorable neighborhood characteristics are the main underlying factors contributing to the better educational outcomes. More recently, researchers found that the act of saving has some association with child outcomes, and specifically the degree to which children of homeowners are less likely to drop out of school. And civic participation. The extent of community involvement and the benefits that accrue to society are hard to measure, but several researchers have found that homeowners tend to be more involved in their communities than renters. After the sharp decline of home prices, recent studies reevaluated the social role of homeownership and found that residential stability increases like the likelihood of electoral participation, but is unrelated to participation in membership groups. Interestingly, though, even after controlling for residential stability, homeowners remain more likely to participate in local elections, civic groups, and neighborhood compared to renters. So that's another part of it, is getting involved civically. Surprisingly enough, you wouldn't think this, but health benefits. Early studies of homeownership and health outcomes found that homeowners and children of homeowners are generally happier and healthier than non-owners, even after controlling for factors such as income and educational levels that are also associated with positive health outcomes and positively correlated with home ownership. More recent studies have found that the wealth building effect of home ownership and the sense of control it provides to homeowners in a stable housing market affects homeowners' mental and physical health in a positive way. However, the literature is mixed in times of housing market instability. While some studies showed that homeowners fared better than renters during the recent housing crisis, other studies suggested that areas of high housing distress also had high rates of mental health and stress-related diagnoses. More research is needed on the relationship of health outcomes and homeownership. Crime. Research on crime and homeownership shows that a lower crime rate among homeowners and people living in a stable housing environment are consistent with theories on social disorganizations. A stable neighborhood, independent of ownership structure, is also likely to reduce crime. It is easy to recognize a perpetrator of crime in a stable neighborhood with extensive social ties. However, with respect to the housing crisis and the increased foreclosure rates, several studies readdress the relationship between homeownership and crime, examining the effects of foreclosures on neighborhood crime. Most of these studies found some evidence that additionally foreclosures leads to an increase in burglary and violent rates. All these we just mentioned are just some great social benefits of homeownership and stable housing. That's why it's so important that we look at the aspect of that and determine, are we ready to be homeowners? Are we prepared to be in the home buying process? Those are questions that I'm available to help answer because as a real estate agent here in Arkansas, I can guide you along the way. A question that's asked to me quite often is, what is the home buying process and how does it work? Well, what I would like to show you today is a guide that I've created that will allow you to take you step by step in that process. So any browser that you open up, just go to walterwashington.kw.com. And once you are there, you can either log in using your current credentials or you can sign up. In this instance, I already have a login, of course, so I'll be typing my information in. All right, and now that I'm in, you'll see there is a tab here that says guide. When you click on guide, it will take you to buying and selling. Right here, we will focus on today with the home buying guide. As it shows here, congratulations on starting the process of buying your home. This timeline will guide you through the steps required, and I will be providing insights on each step. You don't need to follow it exactly, but I do recommend you consider each step, especially if you are a first-time buyer. So over here, it's going to tell you about starting your search. You want to kind of get an idea of what areas you're going to be interested in, right? Because, you know, it could be by neighborhood or by zip code or by section of town. Whatever the case may be, you just want to have a good idea of what area meets your preferences, what area is going to be for your liking. Because once you're there, you're going to be there for a while. It's a big commitment. It's a commitment to your community. It's a commitment to your neighborhood. It's a commitment to your family. So when you look at start your search, you'll utilize this opportunity to get in there, and it'll help you, as you see here, pull up, peruse different areas. Then you can mark that step as complete, or you can go to the next step. And the next step, this is an important step, getting pre-approved. There are a number of lenders, whether you use this product or another product or a recommendation of mine. I have a list of lenders that I can share with you to help get you pre-approved. Working with lenders is very helpful because they're going to be the ones who are going to help determine your eligibility for any lending product out there, whether it's going to be for a first-time homeowner, whether it's going to be for USDA rural development, FHA, VA, conventional, all of the above, there's going to be a plethora of loans that are going to be available that you could qualify for depending on your circumstances. So what might work for one family may not work for another. So that's why it's so important that you work with a lender here in the front end after talking with a real estate agent, because a real estate agent is going to help you find out who are going to be some of the best lenders that provide the best services for the product that meets your particular needs at that given time. After you get pre-approved, that'll determine how much home you are uh, able to afford based off of the mortgage. Take, for example, let's say you have been pre-approved for $150,000 and you have $10,000 of cash. In theory, you could go out and look for a home that is $160,000, give or take. Um, that way, you'll have an opportunity to go and tour these homes. And once you're able to tour these homes, you have a position of leverage where you can say, hey, seller, I am pre-approved for X amount. This X amount is going to cover what you show as your list price, or if there want to be some concessions or some negotiations and so forth, depending on what type of market you're in. If you're in a seller's market, then you might be facing multiple offers where you have to compete against other buyers who are looking to close that deal and potentially drive up the price of that home. Or if you're in a buyer's market, then you may be able to work it out to where the seller pays certain costs or does certain repairs and other items in order to get that home sold. Once we get that idea wrapped around with our pre-approvals and we decided what home we want to land on particularly, that's when we're going to submit a offer. Now, this offer, you will work with a licensed agent such as myself, and it will include such things as the price, the terms, such as a request for closing cost help, or that this offer is subject to you obtaining financing and a home inspection, the idea of the closing date, earnest money deposit. That's something that I can help you with if you want to do with that, walkthroughs, and a time limit on the offer. So it says, what are some of your most common contingencies? Well, here they are. Financing. A lot of these homes are going to be financed. Yes, people love cash deals, but how many individuals are walking around with $100,000 to $200,000 worth of cash just ready to spend? So that's why a lot of times you want to leverage it. Let's say you did have $100,000. Do you want to go ahead and spend it all on a home, or would you want to go ahead and get a loan and leverage it so that way the rest of your money you can have work for you? There are just a plethora of opportunities of how you utilize that, and there's different strategies and different techniques. That's why we want to make sure that we position ourselves appropriately for the best outcomes. Now it says, what happens if I face multiple offers? Well, like I said, depending on what market you're in, if you're in a seller's market, this is where it's going to play a big part. So if it's a hot housing market, you may find yourself competing against other buyers. And if that's the case, I will work on you on your behalf, strategizing your offer to be accepted. And with access to real-time market data, I'll know how to best position your offer. That's why it's so careful that we have to be sure that we're working with an agent who has real-time information of what's going on with a lot of these houses that are on the market. So sometimes we'll go to certain websites and they'll say, oh, this house is listed, is ready to go. But then all of a sudden you look further into it, it's been bought for almost 2 weeks. And you're like, well, why is that the case? Well, a lot of times these websites don't update as quickly. And that's why working with a real estate agent can help you stay ahead of the game and know what is out there, what's accurate, and what is going on with those deals. So once you make the offer is going to be sent to the seller. The seller will review the offer and they will either reject it, saying they want nothing to do with it. They will counter saying, hey, we want to change the terms, or maybe we'll work out this price or work out these contingencies, or they'll just accept it as it is, depending on how good of an offer it is. Our best outcome is to get an offer accepted right off Jump Street, right? So once that offer is accepted, we get to execute the contract. That is a fun opportunity because that's when it really starts to get turned up, because we have to make sure that once the offer is accepted, we have to get an inspection ordered. We got to get an appraisal done. We have to look and see what year this home was done so that we determine is a lead place disclosure. Possibly do surveys, any repairs that have to be done. Relook at our financing options and make sure that we're still on track. Choose a title company, choose an insect inspector. All these things, it could be overwhelming, but that's why you work with a real estate agent on the front end and throughout the process. As we said before, the home inspection. This is where it's going to help put you at ease because you'll know a lot more information about the home you plan to buy in advance. Yeah, you can buy a home as is. However, it's still advisable for you to get a home inspection. Why? Because that inspector, who is a third party, will come into play and just say, here's home, and these home has certain items in it. Either these items are to be determined be satisfactory, need repair, or something else. It's just an opportunity to give you a perspective where they could put it in a well-written report and tells you how's my roof, how's my plumbing, how's my electrical, how's the structure, how's the fixtures, how's the house itself. Do not let the results of a home inspection scare you or disappoint you, because it is giving you honesty. And that's what you want throughout this whole process, is transparency, honesty, and full integrity of all those involved. After the home inspection, you're gonna look at home insurance. There's ways we can go about it. We can go through this product here that is shown on the screen, or you can go through companies you've known before. As a real estate agent, I know connections to various home insurance agents who can help you get insured at the best price point for that property. Because you do want to shop around, namely because sometimes one company is going to provide a product at a certain price point, and it may have everything you're looking for, but then another company might say, well, we may be able to add more, but at a lower price. And another company said we might be able to add less at a lesser price. And they're just one of those things where we just want to compare our options and see how those chips lay, mainly because we want to ensure we get the best price that we can afford, because a lot of times the insurance is paid at one time by the mortgage company, and we pay the mortgage company monthly in our monthly payments, which we call PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. And depending on where you live, those taxes could help alleviate some of that monthly payment, or it could eat it to the point where you're paying a lot of it per month in taxes, unless you pay out of pocket each year for both your taxes and your insurance, which that's a conversation to have with your lender, just in case that's something you want to exercise, just in order to kind of keep your monthly payments a little bit more manageable. Home warranty. Some sellers will offer a home warranty, or you can ask for one. A lot of times when the home is a new build, construction, and so forth, these will come with a builder's warranty for the first year, or 12 months at least. But nonetheless, you can always ask for one. If you don't get one from the seller, you can always purchase one for yourself out of pocket. Once again, we have numerous connections to where we can discuss and work out those details, to where we can put you with a company that can provide a home warranty plan that can cover you for 12 months, 13 months, 24 months, however many times along with period that you would like, so that we can make sure that those items that are in your house stay covered. Mainly because your insurance is going to cover just really the structure and the content, so to speak, but not if they break down per se, but more so if those contents come up damage from burglary or damage from some type of insurance covered event. Let's say you had a water main to break inside of your home and water started gushing everywhere. Well, that's more than likely something you would get covered by your insurance. But let's say the refrigerator went out. Well, that's where this home warranty could play a part, depending on what type of policy you have. Because like it says right here, if you are buying an existing home, especially one with appliances that are more than 4 years old, a home warranty can give you peace of mind about paying for unexpected repairs and finding a reliable contractor. So if you're a first-time buyer, especially have limited savings, this could be a particularly important. Then we look at closing, right? Once we get to closing, that's where the day has come to where we get the keys. That's the day where the title company that we chose will all meet together and we sign off on the documents. So that way we can obtain possession of the home. And a lot of times the possession could be obtained upon closing, or it could be delayed because maybe the sellers have to live there for a little while longer until they're able to find somewhere else and then you move in. Or even another one where it could be even early occupancy, where the sellers don't mind you living there early because, no harm, no foul. They're not there. No one's there. It's just those things that we can kind of help determine. That was where everything comes together. All the elements we said from beginning to end are reconciled to one piece. And we want to ensure that we're all on the same page, from the sellers to the buyers, to the listing agent, to the buyer's agent. Everybody involved is all reconciled to one file so that we can go forward and go our separate ways. That's where money from the mortgage company is wired over to the title company to hold, and the title company takes out the different proceeds, whether it be the proceeds for them and for the taxes and for this and that and so forth. And then they pay off the remainder to the seller side, which the seller more than likely would have a commission that it will be paid to the listing agent, and there'll be more, and all those nuances. So there's a lot that you have to look into this and understand. That's why it's so important that you have somebody who is knowledgeable of the process, such as a real estate agent, and who can help you through the process each and every step of the way. That portion of it is where we have with this buying guide. So like I said, once again, if you just go to walterwashington.kw.com, you either create an account and sign in, or if you already have a login, just go ahead and sign in from there, and you can go to the guide tab and it will take you through there accordingly. So now we're back at the website, right? walterwashington.kw.com. This is just one website to use as an example. We'll just do current location. And in this scenario, we're going to just try to find a property. And with that property, we're going to do, we'll go with this one here, this 3-bedroom, 3-bath at randomly. So with this property here, we're going to look at it and we're going to do some calculations, determine how it would look like for mortgages and how it would look like for affordability and so forth. So when you scroll down, when you're here at the website, you see the property there and the property description and so forth. You'll go down, you'll see some information, property details, the financials. Is it $119 a square foot? That's important to look at, because when you're looking at other houses, you want to see how much are they per square foot to see if you're getting a reasonable deal or not. It'll show you how many days on the market and for the area, what locals are saying, walkability, et cetera, et cetera. What we're looking at furthermore is crunching the numbers, right? So here's the purchase price. Let's say the purchase price is a mortgage. We have 0 down payment. Let's just presume that our mortgage is at 4.25%. It's not likely, depending on what market you're in and what time of the year you're going and your credit. This is just a crude example. For a $260,000 30-year fix, the monthly payment for just the mortgage and interest and the mortgage insurance, because it is less than 20% down, will be $1,442. Now, you're asking yourself, well, how do I know what the taxes on this property is? Well, we know that this property is located at 103 Vertical Lofts Drive here in Little Rock, 72201. That's just one example. So now we looked at that address, and we're going to pull up a handy dandy website that I encourage all of you to use. It's called arcountydata.com. And when you're there, you're going to go to the county of where the property is listed. And here we're going to be looking at Pulaski. And once we go there, I always clear the form just in case, because there may be some information there that causes the search to kind of move funny. And we know that the street number is 103. And we know that according to Google and according to the listing, that the street name only, without the direction and all that, is Vertical Lofts. It'll come up if you type it in correctly. We're not going to worry about anything else, because typically it's usually going to pull it up. We'll left click on search. It shows you right there who's the owner. This is public information, so it shows you the public information, the parcel number. And so when we left click on there, we'll scroll through and it'll give us some information about the property, where it's located, its appraised value, all the ins and outs of it. So now we're like, it still didn't give us the taxes, right? Well, here are the estimated taxes for that property. After the homestead credit, that individual is paying this much per year. So at $28.38 per year. You know, if you have a calculator, you'll just take that amount, and with that amount, you'll divide it by 12 because that's how much is going to be spent per month. So at $22,838 divided by 12, we're looking at $236.50 per year. Now remember, our estimated mortgage at 4.25% is $1,442. That's, you know, of course, that's the mortgage itself, then the insurance. So that's the principal and the interest and the mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is different than your homeowner's insurance. Whenever you put less than 20% down on a property, some lenders will require that you get mortgage insurance. What that does is if you happen to default on that loan, going, you know, for example, forbearance, short sale, foreclosure, all the bad things that go along with losing a home, well, the bank or the lender in this case is protected because they have an insurance policy through a mortgage insurance that will just basically pay them the money they loan to you. So they're protected either way when it's less than that amount. So at any rate, we know that the 1279, you see that $1,279 just the mortgage and interest, plus the $163 gives us that $1,442. So our $236.50 plus the $1,442, now we are at $1,678.50 per month. We haven't looked at insurance yet. Remember, we have not looked at insurance. For this property, you have to really work with an insurance agent. That insurance agent would definitely tell you how much it is as far as the suspected insurance. You know, let's just say a really high example is that, let's say it's for whatever reason, you're paying $1 a square foot per month, per year, excuse me, in insurance. Homeowners insurance that's protecting the building structure and contents and everything that's typically attached, depending on which riders. That's once again something you'll speak with a licensed insurance agent on. So assuming that $2,190 per year is how much you spend in homeowners insurance, divide that by 12, you get that 182. So now that 182 is where we stand, and now we have that 1678.5 plus 182. So that's going to put us in about $1,861 per month. So just to recap, when you're on the website and you're looking for a property, you'll scroll down to where it gives you a mortgage payment. If the purchase price in this instance is $260,000 and you're just going to mortgage all of it, and it's a 30-year fixed, 0% down, 4.25% mortgage. These are just strong assumptions. So this calculator is an estimate provided by Keller Williams. So you still have to contact your not your agent, but as well as your lender on more details. We went on AR County data. We looked up the property. We found out what the estimated tax with the credit is. Now, bear in mind, if you are not using or you do not qualify for the homestead credit, your annual taxes based off this estimate will be $32.13. Now, there's another website you can go to do this as well. You go to the county tax assessor. In this case, we know that we do that one there, and we go to the assessor. You should be able to also pull up information about that as well when you do an inquiry. So we're going to look up property. So like I said, once again, we Googled and looked up the Pulaski County assessor, went to their website. Then we went to look up property. And now we're at look up property. That's once again, we're going to clear the form. We're going to do the same thing before. And actually, this might take us to the same information. So what we're going to do is, Pulaski County is one of those counties that have a treasurer and an assessor. So I apologize. We're going to go to the Pulaski County treasurer. Google that. It's PulaskiCountyTreasurer.net all together. Once you're there, then it'll give you the same options to look up a property. So we're going to do what's called pay taxes inquiry. It'll bring you into another screen. I'm going to move this tab over just to make it a little bit simpler for myself. It says pay taxes inquiry. You're not going to pay anything. Trust me, you're not going to put any money in. Now, parcel number. See, the good thing is that we already have the information up. So when you go here, you can pull up the parcel number, which is right here. And you just double click on it, right click, copy. If you didn't, you'll have to then kind of put in the address and kind of finagle it from there. The easiest way though is to put in the parcel number and then search, and you'll see right here, it'll pull up the tax bill. So we'll continue, and it's going to give us a breakdown of it. So you get to view the bill and view history and then parcel information. So let's left click on view bill. See right there? So that was the estimate that it showed was correct. That's what the individual or that property owner was billed. And when you look at the history of it, this is a breakdown of it. This is why home ownership is very important, because not only are you making a commitment to your community, but you are making a significant investment in your community. Just see right here alone, a vast majority of that is going to the Little Rock School District. So a lot of your money is going to education, people. You want to be sure that you are making sure your voice is heard, because as you can see, a vast majority of that funding is going to education. So at 2129.76, nearly, more than 3/4, of this, or actually probably 2/3, more than 2/3 of this is going to education. Of course, it's the county general fund and children's hospital and roads and other items here. That's where your money's going to, people. So you want to make sure that you're making your voice heard, because when you're making that significant of a commitment, no matter the address, no matter how much it is, you want to make sure your voice is heard. Let's run through another example of the mortgage calculator that's here on the website. It's got some other ones. We don't have to go too far with it. Let's just do this one. This is a listing. Looks like it's just land, but so once again, this is just land. So depending on your lender, this one's at $58,000 for that size of property. And as we did before, we're going to scroll down to where it says the mortgage payment, and you see that it goes roughly the same. But now this time let's look and see, what if we decided to I don't know, put a little bit on it. Okay, let's see, what about now? Remember, notice that when we were at 18%, you see there's mortgage insurance. 20%, no mortgage insurance. It's amazing, right? So let's go back to this scenario. Let's say we did 20% down, right? That means that we had put down that amount, meaning it lowered our monthly payment. The more money you put down, the less money obviously you will owe on the loan itself. And this is just right now with just the land itself. So that's just one example of looking at that. So now you're asking yourself, well, how much home can I afford? Now you can do some calculations on your own to kind of help determine it, but your best course of action is to work with a licensed lender in your area to determine that. But if you're just curious on your own, you just want to find out more, then what you can definitely do is you can go to a website called mortgagecalculator.org. Mortgagecalculator.org will kind of give you a bunch of breakdowns of how you can make it work, whether it be from the affordability, where it says rent or buy, income requirements, mortgage qualifications, your mortgage payment information. So once again, we're going to see what it looks like here. There is an amortization chart here. Let's say the home value is at $175,000. You do a down payment of, let's 3.5%. So that means your loan amount would be $168,000, 875. Your interest rate, just presuming again, is 3.8. There is a loan term of 30 years. The start date, we're going to move it to, let's just say June of 2021. The property tax, that's a large assumption, but we'll leave it there. PMI at 0.5%. Home insurance, it's readjusting the numbers. So the property tax, let's say, would be at 1,750, 1,750. And the insurance is at, let's just do, 1,750 again. Monthly HOA, depending on which community you live in, will determine where you are. So in this case, some areas have a monthly HOA, which is a homeowners association fees or property owners association fees. You have to inquire with that community, determine if it is or is not, and what the costs are. If they are, some of them are going to be, roughly $100 a month or more, and so forth. So, once again, we have conventional, FHA, VA, USDA. Let's just say we are doing conventional. And, there are some conventional products out there that will allow you to put different down payments down, but there will more than likely have a property mortgage insurance, which is PMI. So now we're going to calculate. And based off of calculations, you'll see if you are within what you think would be a good fit. So payment with your PMI is going to be $1,148.92. As you see right there, eventually you'll see more to it with a May of 2051 loan payoff date. This is your monthly taxes paid. This is your total home insurance paid per month, so on and so on. So it's factoring in what we just said before, your PITI, your principal, which your principal would have been the amount that's owed, the interest that's charged against that amount, the taxes, and the insurance. In this case, you're gonna have two insurance. You're gonna have one insurance, which is your home insurance, and you have another insurance, which is your your private mortgage insurance or property mortgage insurance. It depends. Sometimes it has different names. Nonetheless, it's your mortgage insurance, property mortgage insurance. So that's just one website you can utilize to get you what is a estimate. As you see here, the above tool estimates monthly mortgage payments with taxes, insurance, PMI, HOA fees, and more. So let's look and see what this means by this more. Before we do, though, it says if property tax is 20 or below, the calculator treats it as an annual assessment percentage based on the home's price. If property tax is set above 20, the calculator presumes the amount entered is the annual assessment amount. So those are just assumptions that it's going to place into there. So we look at define more. This is where we, once again, the home value, the appraised value of the home, that's helped to determine if the property mortgage insurance is needed. Loan amount. You're going to see some terms here. It says about if the loan amount is above 80% of the appraised, then PMI is required until the loan is paid off enough to where the loan to value is below 80%. Meaning that, let's say, for example, this home, in this instance, we're at, we're at $175,000. And we know that the loan amount is about as well say is 169,000, just roughly. So that means that right now we only paid 3.5% down of the home's value. The bank, in most instances, would like to see it get 20% or more. Sometimes this payment that you see here, this PMI payment each month, sometimes it would fall off automatically. You see right here, it says until 2029, because it presumes that based on your payments, in 8 years, you have 20% equity in the home. And at that point, boom, this payment drops off, and then it goes, this is your new monthly payment of $1,078.55. Some do not fall off automatically. You have to call them and have it removed, and some are for the life of the loan, unfortunately. So that is a big difference. Interest rate. Now, this is the quoted APR a bank charges the borrower. So this is where you have to be very specific on what it is, because you may also be able to pay points to lower the effective interest rate. Sometimes it's $1,000 per point, and basically putting down that will bring your interest rate easily to 1% fully. The loan term, you do have what's called 15-year mortgages, and 30-year mortgages. It just depends on how your budget feels and the affordability and what you're willing to spend and not spend. Property tax. Just what I showed you before, the website that I gave you was really a direct source. Now it says this is the local rate homeowners are charged to pay for various municipal or city expenses, county expenses. Those who rent ultimately pay this expense as part of their rent, as is reflected in their rental price. One can't simply look at the old property tax payment on a home to determine what they will be on a forward basis. So as the assessed value of the home and the effective rate may change over time. Real estate portals like these websites you see here list current and historical property tax payments on many properties. So if the property tax, once again, is 20 or below, the calculator treats it as an annual assessment percentage based on the home's price. If its property tax is set above 20, the calculator presumes the amount entered is the annual assessment amount. Now, this PMI, once again, we just shared with here, is the property mortgage insurance. Now, it's only required if on conventional mortgages, if they have a loan to value above 80%. So if you put down less than 20% down payment, then and use a conventional mortgage, it's going to be highly likely that it's going to require a PMI payment each month, at least for until you get to that 20% threshold. Some home buyers take out a second mortgage to use as part of their down payment on the first loan to help bypass PMI requirements. FHA and VA loans have different down payment and loan insurance requirements, which are reflected in their monthly payments. Homeowners insurance. Most homeowners policies covers things like loss of use, personal property within the home, such as the contents, dwelling, and structural damage and liability. Typically, earthquakes and floods are excluded due to the geographic concentration of damage, which would often bankrupt local insurance providers. Now, you can get that insurance at a premium. It's going to be an additional cost, and you may choose not to get it, but it just depends on where you are. So historically, flood insurance has been heavily subsidized by the United States federal government. However, in the recent home price recovery, some low-lying areas in Florida have not recovered as quickly as the rest of the market, due to, in part, to dramatically increasing flood insurance premiums. That's scary. So depending on where you live and where you go will kind of determine your insurance rates as well. So your HOA, like I said before, the homeowners association dues are common in condos and other shared property communities, and they cover routine maintenance of the building along with the structural issues. But you have to be aware of depending on building quality. And HOA fees can rise significantly 10 to 15 years after a structure is built. And that's where you just have to know what is the covenant being, or what are the rules of the HOA. Are they going to require you to build a certain way? They're going to require you that you use only certain fixtures on the outside front of your home. They're going to be very restrictive in some aspects, and it could be helpful because it brings some uniformity and community, but it could be hurtful if you're looking to have some freedom and expression of your home ownership that you just bought. So that right there, like I said, when you go to mortgagecalculator.org, that's just one aspect of how you do it. And so here, once again, we go to affordability on that website, and it's going to give you, how much house can I afford? This is where you're going to put in, once again, some different figures. It's going to play out for you. Especially if you're going to check your credit history. Right here it says, here's the two websites. You can annualcreditreport.com for your report and Credit Karma for your score. Now, remember that the scores that you see on Credit Karma and other sites like it are going to be a consumer score, and those scores are not your mortgage scores. Check with a licensed check with a licensed lender, and they will let you know exactly what your mortgage scores are and what you need to do to get to those scores. Be very careful on using companies that claim to get your score up to a certain point by doing different tactics and strategies, because you're trying to get into a home, and home buying processes, when you're dealing with the lenders, they're going to look for certain avenues to ensure that you're credit worthy when they take it to underwriting, which is another term that you would discuss with your lenders. So when you look at these, you're just going to have some options to look at the mortgage tax benefits, looking at biweekly payments. Biweekly payments, that's just an example of, let's say your monthly mortgage is $1,000 a month, right? So that's $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year. Okay. So at $12,000 a year, you're making 12 payments. However, if you split your $1,000 a month payment in half and pay $500 every 2 weeks, then there are going to be an extra payment for that year, a 13 payment, so to speak. How does this work out? Well, we have 52 weeks in a year. So divide 52 by 2, and you get 26 bi-weekly payments. And you multiply that times 500, that gives you 13,000. Remember, you were paying only 12,000. So in essence, you're paying an extra $1,000 a year. And you want to make sure that this extra 1,000 is going towards your principal and not your interest. You wanted to go towards your principal and then go from there. So that's just a big example of it. And you want to, these are just some, it's going to give you a bunch of recommendations as far as which lenders to use and how to do this, that, and the other, mortgage lengths, and so forth. Now, looking at types of mortgages, right? Pros and cons. Here's the conventional loans, right? Conventional loans, do some down payments as low as 3% in some cases. And there's no PMI with 20% down. And PMI can be canceled once you reach a certain threshold. And conventional can be used for second homes and investment properties. Here are the caveats. The higher your score, the lower your rate. The lower your score, the higher the rate. So this is why we want to be sure that we're doing very, very much with it. And it's going to require that you have not a lot of debt. The more debt you have, the less likely you will be to qualify. And that's debt like credit card debt, student loan debt, automobile, personal, medical, any type of debt that's on your credit report showing it. It's going to have some tougher credit guidelines. Like I said, you can get stuff between 620 and 640, and it's going to require that you have enough money reserved in the bank. So those are just kind of pitfalls of it. Then we look at VA loans, right? The pros and cons of it. Once again, no down payment, no PMI, easier credit, no prepayment penalty, but it's for your primary residence only. And there is a funding fee that you will have to take care of. Slower closing, because this is a more complex transaction, and some sellers do not want to fool with it. And it's not for everybody because you have to qualify and be eligible for it. FHA is one of the more popular ones, right? And with that, once again, remember we were talking about the PMI. Well, it's not necessarily PMI in this case, but like I say, you have a relatively low down payment. You get more favorable rates with your scores, even lower. And it's got more lenient credit score guidelines, and the mortgage insurance rates are cheaper than conventional. But the problem is that mortgage insurance lasts the life of the loan. And you have to refinance it into a conventional just to get it dropped. So, and many condos are not approved, but that's if you want to live with. Owner occupied homes only. So there's no vacation homes, no investment properties, and loan limits are based on the region. So now we look at USDA, rural development loans, as they call it, right? No required down payment, no prepayment penalty, finance closing costs, fair credit, okay. You ain't got to be too much. Low fixed interest rates, but it's only restricted to rural areas. So you have to determine, is this property eligible for USDA? And there's a max income limit, meaning you only can make so much in order to qualify for this. Mortgage insurance is required, and it's for a single home, family homes only. So then you get into the hassle of these other mortgages. Are we doing adjustable rate? Are we doing balloon? Are we doing fixed? That's a lot to bite off of in one moment. So that's why you have to get paired up with a licensed lender who can go over these options with you. A qualified loan officer will be able to help you along the way in every endeavor regarding this. All right, another question that buyers ask is, what are my closing costs and how can I calculate them? Well, once again, on that same website, Mortgage Calculator, you're going to go there and it's going to have some financial calculators and other advice and so forth. You get to go through each of those and take a look, see. And there it will show you the closing cost calculator. Now with this, we're gonna look at it. Let's look at the basic, right? It'll just be a little easier for us. So let's just say right here, the estimated home price is $250,000. And that means just, looking at that, on the low end of 2%, your closing cost will be $5,000. And on the high end of 5%, your closing cost will be $12,500. Now, let's take it from an advanced approach. That advanced approach is, if we're presuming it is a conventional loan, once again, $250,000 is the sales price. Estimated closing date, let's just say, is June 29th, 2021. Down payment was, you know what? Let's just say it was nothing down. We don't want to, we don't care. Whatever's, right? And we're assuming that the interest rate is 4.5%. The mortgage interest payment, let's just throw in there $100. This is just to estimate numbers. 3 months of escrow. We're looking at our annual property tax of $2,500. And we'll just say annual homeowners insurance is $1,500. There's no annual flood insurance. Monthly association's dues, maybe just say 50, depending where you are. Earnest money, we didn't have any. Commitment fee, points paid by seller, closing costs paid by seller, other credits, let's say those are all zeroed out at the moment. Loan costs, let's say that the application fee was, 100, which, let's see, no, they're already at, let's go with these assumptions here you see on the low end. We'll just go with that one. Which very well next, I'm just throwing in a lot of random numbers. So do not accept these as costs, because this is just how you calculate them. This, once again, you'll find out from your lender how much these items are particularly. Title charges. Let's just put all hundreds for these. Government fees. So, hundreds again. Like I said, once again, these numbers are highly estimated. Survey, pest inspection, so you just see what's all included in your closing costs, right? That's the biggest thing. That's the scary part about it. Like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it was so much. So, right here it's, roughly in between. It's about $10,000 for closing costs in this example. It could be less, it could be more. It just depends on your loan estimate. It depends on how much it costs for the title company services. It depends how much it costs for the application and the lender fees, depending on which lender you use. Some do not have an application fee, some do. Some have use appraisers who are more economically affordable than others. There are so many factors that play a part in it. So you just want to look at that and make a determination on how can you calculate the closing costs. When you have the data from those individuals, and that's where working with an agent helps, because they will help you get that information, like how much I'm going to be spending for pest inspection, how many spending for a home inspection, how many be spending for title company services, how much, What's the recording fee? Recording fee is when you're recording it with the county to make sure that, hey, I am the person of ownership for this property. That's the recording fee. So many nuances into it. So once again, mortgagecalculator.org is a great website to go to and peruse. As I said before, walterwashington.kw.com is another. Between those two websites, you'll be able to have a plethora of information. And if you have any issues with those websites, please feel free to give me a call, Walter Washington, 501-612-3838. Again, that's 501-612-3838, or email me at walterwashington.kw.com. That's Walter Washington at kw.com. You can call, text, email me either of those numbers, and I'll be glad to help you. I'd like to take the time again to thank the Arkansas Martin Luther King Jr. Commission under the direction of Deshaun Scarborough and the division of the Department of Education for allowing me to present to you all the importance of homeownership, the home buying process, and so much more. Staying to this, I thank you so much again. And as I always will work, advocate, and leverage towards excellent results. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time.